Hello, everyone. We have a very interesting live coming up this time with a tennis player, Indian women's tennis player. So we have been having these sessions every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So I would like to introduce to you Sowjanya Bavisetti, who is a top Indian women's tennis player. So getting her into the discussion, I'm adding her in. Yeah, I'm just waiting for Sowjanya to join in. Hi,
Hi,
Sowjanya.
Jay.
How are
How are
you?
you? I'm good, thank you. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, all good. So we are happy to have you, Saujanya, on the discussion with Fast&Up. Up.
So happy
Uh,
to be here. Thanks for having me.
yeah. So it's nice to have our look into tennis because you are the first tennis player who has joined us for a discussion in the last 1 month. We have been having some interesting discussions with a lot of sports personalities. So
Mhm.
that is a good thing. Uh, Saujanya, just to ask you, you have been the Fenesta national champion ending 2019, I believe. You had a fantastic run at the Fed Cup in Dubai, one of the teams which actually qualified for the World Cup qualifiers, the playoff basically. So when everything was going good, when something like COVID comes in, what runs through your mind?
Um, actually, it was really when you're going through something like if everything's overwhelming,
Hmm.
at one point, but then there's this you just go with the flow. And
Okay.
actually, I was in Australia to play some tournaments.
Hmm.
And I got there on Thursday evening,
Hmm.
and Friday morning they released ITF released a statement saying all the tournaments are being cancelled.
Hmm.
Um, I cannot explain the disappointment. I mean, I was so
Sure.
disappointed because I went all the way to Australia. It was my first
Hmm.
time to Australia,
Hmm.
and I had to just come back right away. And also, my parents called up from India and said, you know, India's going to shut down borders, so you have to come back as soon as
Right.
possible.
Hmm.
And I, in the process, I didn't really have time to think about, okay, tournaments are going to stop now,
Yeah.
and what next?
Hmm.
I was that wasn't going through my mind. I was just, I had to come back home and just be safe. And even the journey was so scary, kind of.
Yeah. Hmm.
We didn't know where they were going to stop us.
Yeah. So
And yeah.
yeah. So you got back to India in the nick of time, I believe.
Yeah.
So that's good. So at least you're back with your family. Uh, after the lockdown started, right? So that's a good thing.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. We got lucky.
but what do you do these days? How is the quarantine going on? How is the lockdown going on for you?
Um, Initially, it was very hard.
Hmm.
I was I couldn't go play tennis, and I couldn't go out and train. My trainings in the gym,
Hmm.
and I mean every we also do outdoor sessions. We go to the park and do
Right.
some hill running and stuff. Um, I couldn't do any of that, and it was so hard for me to find a routine. But then
Right.
everyone started getting so creative,
Uh-huh.
and we set up a gym, not a gym, just like a small home gym on our
Sure.
terrace. And yeah, I now I got a hang of a routine now.
That's great. So Saujanya, let us spend a little bit of time on your successes, which was you had a relatively good year, I think, 2019, which probably culminated in also the being the Finesta national champion, and then went on to the Fed Cup. So how was your feeling when you actually won the national championship? Because that was something that you have always said that was there somewhere in your mind that you need to win that title, right?
Yeah, yeah. It was a dream come true. Um, so I was actually in China, and I
Mm-hmm.
was not sure if I wanted to play the nationals.
Mm-hmm.
My trainer was my trainer insisted that I have to play the nationals no matter what,
Sure.
and I just took it match by match. I also won the doubles, and it was it was too good. The feeling is I still cannot explain the feeling.
Mm-hmm.
To be called a national champion every
Yeah.
time
Mm-hmm.
is something that I've always dreamt of.
Mm-hmm. And I think you guys also, I think I could see a lot of viewers, and I also see a lot of your fellow tennis fraternity who is also seeing this. But I mean, even the SAF games where you guys went and won the team championship and had a lot of successes. I think it was a lot of teamwork going on right there, and as well as the Fed Cup, right? And also the Premier League that happened.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Sowjanya, let us go a little back and see where it all started. So, where did you start picking up tennis?
It's a funny story. My sister used to play tennis, my younger sister,
Hmm. Okay.
and I just used to go watch her play sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And there was this one day I picked up a racket and I started hitting to the wall. So it comes back to that. I started playing tennis.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I hit the first ball to a wall. So
Sure.
and the coach saw me and he said, "You have a very good eye-hand coordination for a first
Mm-hmm.
timer.
Okay.
I think you should play often."
How old was this?
And that's how I was 11 and a half, 12 years old.
Okay. Even was it even the first shot that you hit? Was it a left-handed serve at that point of time?
No, not serve. I just hit a forehand, I think.
Forehand. Okay. Uh, that's great. So the rest probably is history. I mean, you went on from there and started going up the rungs. But Sowjanya, can you also talk about a little bit about who have been your pillars of support right from the childhood? I also know that your parents would have had to really help you through the initial period, right? So how has that journey been?
Yeah.
Because I think for a lot of tennis players, young upcoming tennis players, it's an individual game, an expensive sport, uh, and some light on that would be helpful for everyone. Can you hear me?
Sorry, I lost you there for a second.
Yeah, I was asking you about your family support, your parents helping you, your sisters, and now obviously your husband also being around. How did it all fit in?
Yeah. So when yeah, am I back on?
Yeah, yeah, I can hear you.
All right.
Go ahead.
So when I started playing tennis professionally,
Mm-hmm.
my mom had to travel with me, and my sisters were
Mm-hmm.
really young.
Mm-hmm.
So my dad used to take care of my sisters
Mm-hmm.
and work, and my mom used to travel with me all the time. So I think my family has been very supportive, and my family is still very supportive. My
Mm-hmm.
parents still fund my trips. Now my husband's also helping me a little.
Okay.
So everyone chips in a little for my travel and tournaments.
That
And my
that's nice.
sister, yeah, and my sisters had to take care of themselves from a very
Mm-hmm.
young age. Um,
Sure.
yeah, so grateful for them.
No, that's good. Saujanya, a request. Can you be a little bit more louder when you speak, so that
Yeah, I think I
everyone
should.
can hear? Yeah,
I
yeah.
should
You can probably be as if you won a tennis point, and then yes, you're more louder and energetic,
louder,
right?
louder. Yeah, okay, all
Perfect,
right.
perfect. Uh, so you are from Hyderabad, and obviously there are going to be role models for you, right? When you actually picked up that racket and did that, the hit first ball that you hit, and then you grew up. So who have been your role models in sport or otherwise?
Um, in sport, Sania Mirza was there.
Mm-hmm.
I I actually ball picked for her matches when she won her
Okay.
first WTA tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always looked up to her, and
Sure.
she's been such an inspiration. She's still inspiring us every day. And I I never really watched many of Steffi Graf's matches, but my dad was a huge fan of her.
Uh-huh.
He had this huge poster um, in the living room
Sure.
till I started playing tennis.
Mm-hmm.
So I really like the way Novak Djokovic plays.
Mm-hmm.
Am I
Mm-hmm.
loud enough?
Yeah, yeah, perfect. That's good.
All right. So I really like the way Novak Djokovic plays and
Mm-hmm.
the way he's on court.
Mm-hmm.
So these people are my favorite players.
No, no, fantastic. I think was it a special moment when you actually had the opportunity to play on the same team with Sania at some point in time? Like, was it a good, a great moment for you?
Yes, it was a very great moment. I also used to practice at her academy in
Okay.
2015.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So um we've already had good connection. So it
Sure.
wasn't, but it was something
Doesn't,
different, to sit
yeah,
back and just realize, oh wow, I used to
yeah.
ball big for her.
No, no, fantastic. I think that's an incredible story. The other thing that Sowjanya, I was interested when I was looking at the game that you play, etc., is that you have also been a left-hander when you serve, and strong left-hander. So in a lot of sport, being a left-hander is an advantage, right? Because there are
Yeah.
very few people who are mostly people are right-handed. Even if you look at cricket, any sport, for example. Sorry,
No
any
worries.
sport. So, for example, was being a left-hander? I mean, did you find anything specific, an advantage in that when you grew
It's a
up?
huge advantage for sure. Not a
Okay,
lot of players. I mean, all of them. Most of them are right-handers, and
sure.
everyone's practicing with the right-handers, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So when I get on court to play a match against a right-hander, I also practice with right-handers mostly.
sure.
And
Mm-hmm,
when I get on court to play against right-handers,
mm-hmm,
it's regular for me. It's usual, but
mm-hmm.
for them it's not really. So they struggle a bit, and that gives me an edge already.
So
And
that's mm-hmm,
yeah, and with the
sorry,
serve, I just I take a little more advantage.
advantage. That's great. The other thing that I wanted to ask you, Saujanya, is that I've also seen you play doubles. I mean, in the sense, I've noticed that whenever you go for a tournament, a lot of people like you play both singles and doubles. Uh, now, obviously, the icing on the cake is obviously for a singles player, and I think a lot of players also dream to be singles specialists, right? Uh, so how does it work for a player like you? I mean, is it singles or doubles, and how do you manage, and what are the pros and cons?
Um, First, um, I think it's the same to
Mm-hmm,
to be at the top in the singles or in doubles.
mm-hmm,
It's we players don't see it as
mm-hmm,
anything different. We go
mm-hmm.
to a tournament. We look at playing for doubles and singles both.
Sure.
Um, I will not say my focus right now is just singles,
Mm-hmm,
but I play a lot of singles right now because I had some injuries, and
sure.
uh, I was advised to keep my time on court a little short.
Okay. Oh,
So
okay.
I had to choose one event.
Mm-hmm,
But whenever I get a chance, I play singles and doubles,
mm-hmm.
and I
But
and I play
yeah,
both
go
the
ahead.
matches with same effort.
Sure. But in a lot of sports, uh, doing one activity on a focused manner probably helps you improve the game. Does it happen to tennis players that, I mean, the more you play singles, the better you get at it, and you probably dilute your training efforts when you kind of also look at doubles in any tournament? Does it happen ever with you?
With me personally, never, because I've
Hmm.
always trained to play singles and doubles.
Sure.
So even in singles, there are volleys, and you have to hit all the strokes.
Hmm.
Probably have to move a lot.
Mm-hmm.
more. But actually, in doubles, you have to be very active. You're not moving,
Sure.
you're not taking bigger steps, but you are very active. So I think it takes about the same effort.
Very, 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 very politically correct answer, probably. But just last question on the doubles point, doubles perspective. Like we see a lot of you guys going out, having different partners, doubles partners. You had a Chinese player as your partner to one of the tournaments. I mean, in India, you probably play with somebody else. How easy or difficult is it to get onto a new partner? And how does the decision making process evolve?
Um, so tennis matches are long, right?
Right.
It's a little it's like it's not that difficult actually. It takes probably 2 or 3 games to get used to the
Okay.
partner, and
Mm-hmm.
even if when we fix up doubles, we just like kind of practice 2 3 sessions before we get to the
Sure.
match, so we
Mm-hmm.
know our weaknesses and strengths
Mm-hmm.
as much as we can, and
Mm-hmm.
we just take it from there.
Okay. Uh, Saujanya, I mean, when we look at sports in India, you obviously have cricket. Hyderabad has been a beacon of badminton, which has really caught on in the country. You have many other sports which are coming up very nicely. Uh, Tennis, if you have to have a larger talent pool in the country, uh, I mean, how difficult is it? I mean, do you have a large talent pool in the country? People who are taking up tennis these days?
We do have a lot of players actually. We have a lot
Mm-hmm.
of talented players
Mm-hmm.
in every field, to be honest. But
Sure, sure.
tennis is a very expensive sport,
Mm-hmm.
and to go higher, and you have to play a lot of tournaments to keep up with the
Sure,
rankings.
sure.
And just traveling every country week in week out is not easy. And
Mm-hmm.
if you don't have the right support, and
Right.
if you're not funded financially, it gets difficult,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to choose your tournaments carefully.
Okay.
And that is my case. In fact,
Sure.
I have to choose my tournaments very carefully. I have to go for a longer period. So when I go to
Sure.
a tournament, I just don't go for one tournament and come back. I go for
Mm-hmm.
3 or 4 tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
Like this, I save up on traveling a
Sure,
little.
sure. So for
So I think
any,
it comes
yeah,
back to sorry.
no, go ahead.
I think it comes back to how financially sound you are,
Okay.
or how supported you are.
Mm-hmm. So one thing is very clear that tennis, you obviously need financial support for any budding tennis player to grow in the system, right? So if you have to take a step back and look at the support system, I mean, do you have a support system in the country where the government chips in, or a lot of sponsors like companies? Do they actually step in and help the players? In fact, I was reading somewhere that Ankita Raina had a support of Dishman when she started early. So, does that happen quite a bit in tennis, or how difficult it is?
It doesn't happen often.
Mm-hmm.
Being very honest.
Mm-hmm.
Also, our state associations
Sure.
have. They still need to support our players
Mm-hmm.
a little more,
Okay. So I
and
think
it doesn't.
yeah.
Sponsorship is very necessary. And
Mm-hmm.
also
Mm-hmm.
in India, we don't have a lot of tournaments nowadays,
Sure.
so it's just very difficult for the players to be at the top in the international level
Mm-hmm.
without support.
Mm-hmm. So if that is the case, Saujanya, what I mean, as a youngster today, what would be your advice to them? I mean, looking back, you have actually traveled the last 5, 7, 8 years, or more than that. So for a youngster today who is listening to you, what would be your inputs be?
Oof. I think mainly you have to focus on the basics.
Okay.
You have to do what has to be done.
Mm-hmm.
The support, the external things are gonna happen,
Sure.
but you have to keep doing what you were supposed to do, and what you just keep just keep going at it. I mean, never just never give up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just keep going at it, and everything will fall in place. I
Right.
honestly, I wanted to quit tennis a few years back.
Mm-hmm.
And because I didn't have financial support and we were struggling a bit,
Mm-hmm.
but I just kept going, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
thankful to my family
Yeah.
who just never let me down. You know, they always told me, just keep doing what you have to do.
Mm.
Everything will fall in place. We'll take care of it. Someone or the other will help you.
Mm-hmm.
So and people, and now I'm called the national champion. And
Mm.
there's some recognition.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's really. I mean, I'm sure your tough moments would have been really tough, and probably you need to ride that to be where you are right now, right?
Yeah,
Uh, so kudos to that. Uh, so, what has been your best moment ever on the tennis court?
there are so many.
Maybe two
I
or three. Yeah.
um first is when I won my first international tournament,
Mm-hmm.
where my whole family was present.
Okay.
I played a marathon match, and they were at the top of their voices, just cheering me on. You know,
Okay.
um, and that was one of the best moments.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one was the recent one where I won the nationals.
Yeah.
Um, I have an extra family now, and it's just extra support.
That's nice.
And that
Mm-hmm.
was, yeah, that was also one of the best. That I still, it's like it's just happened yesterday.
That's nice to hear. So for the audience, we are also ask. I mean, we are also taking questions. So if somebody has a question, uh, well, related to tennis, if it's better, but
Oh,
we can take
we'll
other
try
questions
to
as well.
answer as many as we can.
Yeah, as many as. Do you want to take Arjun's question, or should we should we get on to
My
the questions?
favorite, no problem. This is easy. Come on,
Okay.
Arjun, you can do better. What's your
uh,
favorite dish?
yeah.
All right, biryani. Biryani is my favorite dish.
Cool. So I'll go to the next question, and then we can
Yeah.
come back to questions. So Sowjanya, I know Suresh, your husband, also runs an academy. How is that going, and what are you trying to do, and what's the objectives there?
Um, he, our academy is doing really well. Was
Mm-hmm.
doing really well.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, the people are very supportive.
Mm-hmm.
The parents just trust Suresh,
Sure.
and he loves to work on fundamentals. You know,
Sure.
he loves to stick to just he sticks to the basics,
Mm-hmm.
and he he has coaches
Sure.
who also like who have experience and
Mm-hmm.
who've been with him for the last 3-4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a good team, and
Sure.
everyone is very friendly, and we when the environment just gets friendly, it's not work.
Yeah.
So
So
it's
you got a lot of youngsters coming into the academy who are
yeah,
getting trained there.
we have a lot
Okay.
of youngsters, and it's important for the kids to
Sure.
to have a friendly coach.
Sure. Great. Saujanya, the way it is, I think every sport has a city where you can be if you have to be the best in the country. For example, badminton today, people talk about Hyderabad. Yeah, swimming, it has long been, say, Mumbai, maybe, I'm not Mumbai, Bangalore, for example, a little bit of Mumbai. So, which is the best city to be in if you have to be a tennis player, apart from Hyderabad? I know Hyderabad would be more of an emotional answer, but apart from Hyderabad.
No, it's not emotional. Also, we have a lot of tennis coaches here. We have a lot of
Sure,
tennis academy.
sure.
There are so many players from Hyderabad who are doing
Mm-hmm,
well.
mm-hmm.
Um, but otherwise, I don't know. I've trained in Delhi before,
Okay.
and it has some good sports complexes, and I cannot.
Yeah, I
choose a
mean,
city. I've also trained in Bangalore.
yeah.
Bangalore has the sports school now.
Sure.
It
So the
has.
reason, yeah. So the reason why I wanted to ask you that question was for people who are hearing. I mean, the support system, the culture, the tennis culture, and all those aspects. Sometimes a couple of cities in the country always stand out, right? So it was more from that perspective. Uh, so we
No,
got, yeah. Go
Pune is
ahead.
doing really well.
Yeah.
Pune is doing
That,
really well, right? I
that
mean, Hemant sir and
sure.
Gaurav, they have. So probably Pune, if not Hyderabad.
Yeah, great. So that answers the question. Uh, let's talk about the tennis Premier League. You had a chance to uh, play with and against a lot more people. You also had probably the very good players, both men and women, being part of it. How was that experience? Was it a different experience interacting with so many people and playing a different kind of match?
The league is something that we tennis players are not used to, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was such a such an overwhelming experience for me. All the teams were in at the same hotel,
Sure.
and everyone was cheering for everyone. I mean, like the teammates.
Yeah, yeah.
I I barely play team events, and
Sure.
even to that matter, even Fed Cup, we had so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
We were. I mean, I lost my voice after a few matches.
Yeah.
So it was Premier League was I um I don't know how to put this. So I was playing for
Mm-hmm.
Leander Pace's team, Mumbai
Mm-hmm.
Leon Army,
Sure.
and Leander was so friendly with us. I
Mm-hmm.
actually was fighting an injury when I came in from South Asian Games,
Mm-hmm.
and he made me go to he made like 3-4 doctors work on me,
Mm-hmm.
and I was ready to play a match next day, and it was an amazing experience to come on TV and to be cheered on by the
Mm-hmm.
whole team.
Sure. So it's
It
all
was
for the
really
team, right? It's
everything.
all teamwork.
Yeah, all teamwork.
Yeah, yeah. So great. So I will ask you one more question, and then we go on to a section called rapid fire. But
Yes.
but see, we were just wondering, like, to have a top 100 women's tennis player from India,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, you had your role model,
Candid.
Sanya, being there, right? But it's been some time, right? So
Yeah.
what does it take? What does it take to be there? Do you see a mix of things happening for women's tennis to reach that level from an international standard?
We definitely do have.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think it takes a lot of hard work
Mm-hmm.
for sure, and I mean, all the girls are putting in a lot of hard work,
Sure.
and everything has to come together. I think,
Mm-hmm.
the financial support for you to not
Sure.
even think about where
Mm-hmm.
you're going, how much are you saving and stuff like that.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
And I think it really helps to have a coach traveling with you. I
Sure.
mean, I wouldn't say a team. A team would be amazing.
Amazing.
That is the next layer. That's the ultimate
Sure.
dream if I can afford.
Sure.
Sorry, when I can afford. And it's it's not an individual thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not
Okay.
just the player who does it. I think you need to have a good coach, a
Mm-hmm.
good trainer, a good physio, who are actually very friendly
Sure.
with each other. It's
Mm-hmm.
just I cannot just go to a dietitian and say, what, I just do fitness for 3 hours
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I play for 3 hours. So give me
Mm-hmm.
something to stay fit.
Right.
I mean, they wouldn't be able to do it. So I
Mm-hmm.
think it's a teamwork, right? For
Mm-hmm.
you to get to that level,
Sure.
and it's very possible for Ankita is in fact, I
Sure.
think she was 120
Mm.
somewhere there,
Yeah.
And we're getting there. Ankita gets a lot of support from her association, and it's it has to happen often for the
Yeah, I
players.
agree. I agree.
Yeah.
And then and if you have a core group of girls fighting it out and wanting to do that, I'm sure it'll happen. But I think what you have said, Sowjanya, one point that I wanted to just over stress is that it's not about just one player. You need a team. Like you
Yeah.
rightly said, a lot of people in India take for granted that uh, you have a coach traveling with you, you have physios traveling with you, because all you see is a Nadal or a Federer
Yeah.
playing there, but you don't see the rest of the people who are out there, especially from India. So totally agree with you on that, and hoping that soon we'll have a support system which can actually travel out from the financial perspective as well.
There are a lot of people supporting,
Yeah,
but we need more.
more.
Yeah.
So we'll have a quick short round where I ask you question, crisp answers is what we would request from you. Uh, so tell me a player that you enjoy playing with.
Um, like, do I have options?
You can say one or two. It's not a multiple choice question, so you
Okay,
can give
just
two or three players.
okay. I enjoy playing with Jeevan actually. We played a league together and we
Okay,
played mixed doubles. I had so much fun.
that's great. So Jeevan is one of the players that you like playing with.
Yeah.
Uh, uh,
Apart from
that
my husband though.
yeah, that goes without saying, right?
Yeah, yeah. So people don't stress there.
uh, any treasured possession that you have which you really treasure or connected with, attached to,
In tennis,
in tennis maybe, yeah,
my
or
team.
even otherwise, your team. Okay.
Yeah. My
uh,
trainer, Harsha, Suresh, my parents, my whole family actually, which is my physio also,
yeah,
Chandana. She's
fantastic.
yeah.
The support system that you talked about,
Yes.
uh, which is your best place you have been, or maybe the alternate question would be, which is the best place where you have played tennis ever?
Mm, I have some amazing memories in Spain.
Spain,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Barcelona.
Barcelona. Which surface do you prefer? Grass,
Hard.
clay, hard court? Hard court.
Hardcore. Yes.
Okay. Forehand or backhand?
Forehand.
Right. Any. I mean, maybe ask this to everyone because everyone is spending a lot of time at home. Any online OTT series which you are currently seeing or liking on Amazon
Um,
Prime or Netflix?
I don't watch.
You don't watch.
I don't watch any series. I get addicted to them, so
Okay.
I cannot.
Fair
But
enough.
I've been playing a lot of Ludo game.
Okay. So that's another way of keeping yourself, tied up.
Yeah.
Any style icon that you have?
Mm, me.
Great. Uh, any sport? Any sport other than tennis?
Badminton.
Badminton. So probably did you really look back and say I should have been a badminton player? Has that thought ever been with you?
Yeah, once or twice.
Okay.
When the
any
rules
su-
were messed up in tennis for a bit.
okay. Any superstition that you follow before a match?
Um, Superstition. I always have to tie my headband or cap in the washroom. I
Oh,
cannot do it on the court.
on the court. Great. So we just ended that set of questions. We have time enough for answering a few questions. So there is one person who is asking, Karthik, who is asking you, do you have any sponsorships at all? So Saujanya, maybe you can just let them know that.
I'm sponsored by Head for my equipment and clothes. We started this year. I was supposed to get my stuff. And Fast&Up. That's it. No
So
financial support as of
sure.
now. Yeah.
Mhm. So I think that's the point that you were trying to say, right? Financial support from companies, from organizations, that would be a great thing for players like you.
Yeah, from federations.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Sowjanya, we had a nice time talking to you. I don't see any other questions, but
Guys, do you have any questions? I
but
was actually really nervous before we started this. This is my first time going live.
no, but we
But I think
had
I'm
a
getting a hang of it.
no, but had a great time because you gave a lot of interesting perspectives, which now normally a lot of people don't listen. I mean, understand or don't know about. So thank you so much for that.
Thank
Uh,
you for having me,
so
Vijay.
yeah. So is there anything last that you want to say to the people who are watching you? Any message or anything that you would want to share?
Um, well, it's a really difficult time right now,
Hmm.
but uh, just enjoy the moment, enjoy time, spending time with your family and your
Sure.
favorite people. Just stay home, stay safe. We'll
Yeah.
get through this.
So thanks, Sowjanya. I think amazing having you at the Fast&Up team for the Insta
My
Live.
pleasure.
I actually also would like to wish you the best. Maybe once this all gets over, you have the time and energy out to go out to the court, be back to where you were, and keep doing well.
And
Thank you
higher.
so much.
Thank
Yeah,
you
and
so
higher.
much,
Yeah.
Vijay.
And thanks to all the audience also. Yeah, bye.
Thank you, guys. Bye bye.
Bye.
See
Bye.
you.